When my phone rang on a Saturday morning, I was standing in the middle of my new kitchen, deciding where to put the kettle. Sunlight poured through the large windows, reflecting off the white cabinets. The air smelled like fresh paint and new furniture. I was smiling because today was special, a day I had been working toward for almost 3 years. My mother-in-law's name appeared on the screen. I smiled even wider and picked up. "Hello, Marina Petrovna. We're just about to leave. I actually wanted to." "Don't come," she shouted so loudly that I instinctively pulled the phone away from my ear. I froze. What do you mean?" I said. "Don't come here." Her voice was sharp with anger. "Take your things and forget the way to my house." I frowned. "Marina Petrovna, I don't understand. Don't act innocent. You think I don't know what you're planning? You think you can humiliate people like this?" My chest tightened. I really don't understand. But she was already shouting. "You decided to make a joke out of me, buy me a house, and then make me look like a fool in front of everyone." The call suddenly ended. I stood there in the kitchen, staring at the dark screen, my heart beating faster and faster. My husband Andrew walked in, buttoning his shirt. "What happened?" I looked at him, confused. "Your mom just told me not to come," was screaming, accusing me of humiliating her. Andrew frowned. "What nonsense." He quickly grabbed his phone. "I'll call her back," but she didn't answer. Not him. Not me. Not after 5 minutes. Not after 10. We exchanged looks. "Let's go," Andrew said shortly. "We'll figure it out there." Half an hour later, we arrived at the house I bought for her. A small, cozy cottage outside the city, light-colored walls, a green yard, a neat white fence. A dream home for a woman who had spent her whole life complaining about living in an old apartment on the 4th floor with no elevator. I saved for this gift for 2 years. Took extra projects, worked late nights, saved on myself, because despite her difficult personality, I truly wanted to do something good for her. I wanted her to see that I love this family. I wanted to finally earn her respect. But when we arrived, there were already 3 cars outside. "Why are there so many people?" I asked quietly. In the driveway were Andrew's sister's car, his aunts, even his cousins. A cold feeling crept through me when we walked inside. Almost the entire family was gathered in the living room, and in the center stood Marina Petrovna, red-faced, furious. The moment she saw me, she pointed straight at me. "There she is." I stopped. "Marina Petrovna, please explain, explain." She laughed hysterically. "You're still asking." She grabbed a folder from the table and threw it at me. Papers scattered across the floor. I bent down, picked up the first sheet and froze. It was the house purchase contract. In my name. I blinked. Then again. "Yes," I said quietly. "Of course it's in my name." The room went silent. My mother-in-law almost choked. "Of course," she shouted. "You bought a house for me and registered it under yourself." I looked at her, confused. "Yes, because I bought it with my own money." "You snake," she screamed. "So this isn't a gift, it's a performance. You wanted me to live in your house like a dependent." That's when it started to hit me. I slowly straightened. "Wait, you thought I would transfer the house completely to you?" "Of course," Andrew's sister jumped in. "That's how normal people give gifts." "You wanted to humiliate her," the aunt added. "So everyone knows she lives off you." I stared at them, unable to believe what I was hearing. "I bought the house so she could live there as long as she wants for free. I renovated everything, furnished it, bought appliances. What's humiliating about that?" "That you don't trust my mother," Andrew said sharply. I turned to him. He was looking at me coldly. "If it was a real gift, you would have put it in her name." I felt the ground shift beneath me. "Andrew, are you serious?" "Absolutely." I looked at my husband, barely recognizing him. "You also think I owe her a house worth 20 million? If you call it a gift, then yes." Something inside me snapped. 3 years of marriage. 3 years I tried for this family. I supported Andrew when he had job problems, helped his mother financially, bought medicine, paid for vacations, tolerated her constant criticism. And now they all stood against me, because I didn't give the house away forever. Marina Petrovna crossed her arms. "Either you transfer the house to me today, or you can forget you ever had a family." I looked at her, then at my husband, then at the relatives waiting for me to give in, and in that moment something inside me broke. I suddenly realized no matter how much I give, it will never be enough. Give a finger, they take the whole hand. I slowly smiled. "All right," I said calmly. My mother-in-law lifted her chin proudly. "That's better. Finally you've learned." "I'll do even better," I said in the same calm tone. Everyone went silent. "If it's so offensive for you to live in a house that's under my name, then you won't live there at all." Her face froze. "What?" I took out my phone. I opened the message from my realtor and pressed call. "Hello, Irina. Yes. Good afternoon. Can you list the property for sale?" "Yes." Today a dead silence filled the room. "What are you doing?" my mother-in-law screamed. I lowered the phone and, for the first time in a long while, looked straight into her eyes without fear. "If my gift doesn't suit you, then I'm taking it back." "You wouldn't dare," Andrew shouted. I turned to him. "I would, because it's my house, bought with my money, in my name." My mother-in-law turned pale. No, you're bluffing." I stepped toward the door. "No, Marina Petrovna. And that's not all. I turned back and said words that drained the color from her face. And tonight, I'll tell the whole family exactly what money this house was bought with. And how I found out that Andrew has been transferring money from our joint account to his ex-wife for the past 6 months. All the color vanished from Andrew's face instantly. You went through my things. My mother-in-law snapped toward him. What? The next second her eyes rolled back, her legs gave out, and she collapsed to the floor unconscious. She fell so suddenly that for a moment, the entire room froze. Even the air seemed to stop. Then everyone started shouting at once, "Mom, water, call an ambulance." Andre dropped to his knees beside her. His sister rushed around the room. The aunt clutched her chest. Panicking, I stood by the door, not moving, watching the chaos with a cold calm I didn't expect from myself. A minute later, my mother-in-law opened her eyes and sat up, breathing heavily. This is a lie, she rasped, clutching her chest. Tell me it's a lie. She looked at her son as if begging him to save her from the truth, but Andre said nothing, and his silence said everything. Her face twisted. Andre, she whispered, is it true? He stood up, nervously fixing his collar. Mom, I can explain. Explain what? She screamed so loudly the windows seemed to shake. That you were stealing from your wife. I wasn't stealing, he snapped. There were temporary transfers. I was going to pay it back. I let out a bitter laugh. 7 months in a row, 200,000 each month. Silence fell again. Now the whole family was staring at him. His sister slowly lowered her hands. Wait, what transfers? I took out my phone and opened the bank statements like these. I showed the screen, and several people gasped. He was sending money to his ex-wife, I said calmly. Regularly. From our joint account, the same one where my money went to. My mother-in-law turned to him as if she might hit him. Have you lost your mind? After everything she did to you, she had problems. Andre shouted, and I didn't. I yelled for the first time that evening. I didn't need help when I was working nights to save for this house. When you told me we had to endure because we were going through a hard time, he looked away, and in that moment, I understood it was over. There was no pain left, no tears, just emptiness. My mother-in-law slowly stood up, then suddenly turned and slapped her son across the face. The sharp sound echoed through the room. Idiot, she screamed. You ruined everything. Andre grabbed his cheek. Mom, be quiet, she shouted, before I kill you myself. I watched it all, feeling nothing but exhaustion. You know, I said quietly, the funniest part isn't even the money. Everyone turned to me. The funniest part is that if you had simply said thank you, if you had appreciated what I did for you, I might have actually transferred the house to Marina Petrovna in a couple of years. My mother-in-law's mouth slowly opened to it. Yes, I wanted to make sure she truly needed it, that she would be happy there, and then finalize it properly. But you couldn't even wait a single day. You immediately demanded everything. A look of horror spread across her face, as if the ground disappeared beneath her feet. No, she whispered. You're lying. I'm not. She grabbed her head. Oh God, her sister gasped. Marina, you ruined this yourself. Shut up, my mother-in-law screamed, but it was too late. Even the relatives were looking at her differently now. I picked up my bag. I'm leaving. Where do you think you're going? Andre shouted. I looked at him with home. To pack your things. He turned pale. What? I'm filing for divorce tomorrow. You can't just end everything like this. I smiled faintly. I can. You stole from me. You lied to me. You supported your mother while she humiliated me in a house I bought, and you still think I'll stay. He stepped closer. Please, let's talk calmly. No, Andre, it's too late. I turned and walked out. He shouted after me. My mother-in-law cried again. The relatives were yelling, but I didn't.